Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. As COVID-19 spreads across America, officials at Billings-Logan International Airport take steps to slow down that potential threat.
Airport officials say it's too soon to tell what the effect will be, but they're adding more hand sanitizing stations in an effort to keep passengers healthy.
Well, January passenger numbers were up 5% from last year, but airport officials say summer flights may be impacted by the virus.
Q2's Mitch Legge standing by now with today's update. Mitch?
Well, Russ and Jeanelle, let's take a look at COVID-19 cases across the country. According to the Centers for Disease Control, across the United States, there have been 647 confirmed cases of COVID-19. The virus has resulted in 25 American deaths across 36 states, including Washington, D.C. Thus far, there have been no confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Montana. Now, flights at the Billings Airport, meanwhile, have been relatively unaffected from the outbreak. But Director of Aviation Kevin Plone says it's still too early to tell. He said flights may start to drop off in the summer as the virus becomes more widespread. Some of the larger airlines have been discontinuing international flights, but domestic flights from Billings haven't seen any changes. And as far as sanitation efforts go, Plone said airport staff are hard at work.
We've put up additional hand sanitizers everywhere. Our crews are going through and doing an extra good job of wiping down all hard surfaces, you know, the arms on the chairs, the doors, everything, any place where people might touch. Washing those down with disinfectant. So we're trying to keep the terminals as spick and span as we can, so that there's not any impetus for people to think that they're going to get sick at the airport.
Last year, the airport recorded a record number of people leaving Billings, prompting the airlines to add more flights. Plone added it remains to be seen if any of those extra flights will see changes. Russ and Jeanelle.
All right, thanks so much, Mitch.
And this weekend, KTVQ will air Coronavirus, the Facts. It's a 30-minute special report produced by our parent company, Scripps, focused on the COVID-19 outbreak.
The special airs this Saturday at 10:35 p.m. That's immediately following your Q2 10 o'clock news. Well, Montana regulators have announced 4 major health insurance companies will waive some of the customer costs for coronavirus testing.
State Auditor Matt Rosendale, the state's insurance commissioner, says the Montana Health Co-op, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Pacific Source and Allegiance are all taking steps to reduce out-of-pocket costs for the testing. Insurers say they've been discussing ways to respond to the concerns for several weeks, and leaders say they are not encouraging all of their customers to get tested, though.
But if a doctor determines someone should be tested, they say don't wait.
Our hope is that by eliminating the financial barriers for our members, is that they will feel comfortable then as they have discussions with their medical provider that they won't be adversely impacted financially by any tests that are deemed to be medically necessary.
Several of the insurers also oversee self-funded health plans run by employers.
Leaders say they're discussing with those employers how to handle COVID-19 testing. Well, it's been another crazy day on Wall Street.
Yesterday, the Dow had its worst day since 2008, falling more than 2,000 points after a trading halt. Today, it gained back over 1,000 points. The volatility continues, though, with uncertainty about the coronavirus and its economic impact, and also those dropping oil prices.
The big question for many is what should be done to help stabilize the highs and lows?
There's fiscal stimulus, and that's what the president and the Congress can do. And we need immediate, and this is across the board, requests from all sorts of the economy, immediate fiscal stimulus. That means providing low-interest loans from the Small Business Administration. That means paying for medical costs around the virus. And it means providing specific release for some of these sectors that have been hit very, very hard.
Buchanan says a piece of good news. Low mortgage rates are in place right now for new home buyers if you're looking to refinance.
Well, the 4th person involved in the torture and eventual death of a young West Yellowstone boy was back in court this morning. 18-year-old Gage Roush told the district court he did not assault 12-year-old James Alexander Hurley in one of several videos produced by Hurley's grandparents and uncle. MTN's Cody Boyer has the story.
Gage Roush stood before Gallatin County District Court Judge Holly Brown, not by video this time, but in person. According to the 36-page court document filled with a disturbing timeline, Roush appears on page 11. A video found on 14-year-old James Sasser III's phone shows Hurley sitting against a door, crying, while a man is seen hitting him with a piece of wood. Detectives say that man was Roush, after Roush posted on their Facebook page, and investigators say Roush later admitted to it. The charges don't stop with him. On Monday, Patricia Batts, Hurley's grandmother, charged with deliberate homicide by association, heard more charges. Court documents show Batts is now charged with kidnapping, child endangerment, and strangulation. Investigators add that Batts was withholding Social Security benefits from Hurley, keeping the boy inside, forcing him to sit against a wall or door in squat positions. And at times, as on January 23rd, documents reveal a time when a video shows Batts holding Hurley against the wall by his neck, and days later telling Hurley he is not even a human. James Sasser III remains in custody, the sole person charged with deliberate homicide, while Sasser Jr. and Batts, also behind bars, are charged with deliberate homicide by association. In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Roush's bail remains at $50,000. He's scheduled to return to court on April 21st.
On the weather scene tonight, Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joins us now with some wind and flood warnings. Bob.
Yeah, and not only that, even some snow. And we're going to talk about a whole lot of snow possibly coming our way. Let me show you. Here's your threat board, and you'll notice we got a few things starting to come up on it. But let's start off here close to home. You see a wind advisory for the Beartooth foothills, 6 p.m. tonight through noon tomorrow, looking for 60-mile-per-hour winds and dangerous I-90 crosswinds, like basically from Big Timber all the way through Livingston and into the Bozeman area. Meanwhile, up here in the northwest, this is where our next system's coming from. Midnight until 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, looking for 2 to 5 inches of snow. Winter weather advisory above the 3,500-foot level. Meanwhile, back over here, look at this. We still got list left over from the last system. All the snow melt is causing some small stream flood advisories in Phillips Valley and Sheridan County. A lot of the creeks and rivers and streams, they're all getting very full and running out of their banks. And one other thing, let's check this out. 58 degrees on Wednesday, but by the time next week gets here, we're going down into the 20s. And wait till you see how much snow we could get. We'll take the early computer estimates and show them to you. It's impressive in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob. On the final day that candidates could file to run in Montana's elections, the entry of Governor Steve Bullock into the U.S. Senate race dominated the news. But as MTN's Mike Dennison reports tonight, that wasn't the only unusual turn of events yesterday.
While Bullock was filing Monday to run against Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines, 2 other candidates got into that race. John Driscoll, who's run for other offices as a Democrat, filed as a Republican. And a second Green Party candidate filed, setting up an unusual statewide Green Party primary in the U.S. Senate race. At the same time, 2 Democrats, Wilmot Collins and Cora Newman, dropped out. Libertarian Eric Fulton of Whitefish also withdrew Monday from the Senate race 3 days after he had filed. Fulton didn't return a message asking why his sudden change of heart. Other candidates also filed Monday under the Green Party banner for the U.S. House, Governor, Attorney General, and the Legislature, even though the Montana Green Party says it had nothing to do with the effort to certify the party last week. A number of Libertarians filed Monday as well, primarily for seats in the Legislature. Senate District 47 in Missoula and Lake counties actually has 2 Libertarian candidates running, creating another rare third-party primary contest in June. Public Service Commission Chairman Brad Johnson of East Helena became the 5th Republican to run for Secretary of State. And not long afterwards, Kurt Johnson of Missoula became the 6th. The latter Johnson listed no phone number or address in his filing and couldn't be reached for comment. Another late filer Monday was State Senator Jennifer Fielder of Thompson Falls, who became the 3rd Republican running for the Public Service Commission in western Montana's PSC District number 4. And finally, filing day ended with 17 people who may already be winners for state office. Supreme Court Justice Jim Shea and 16 legislative candidates who are unopposed this November. Can things get any crazier this election year? I'm guessing this is just the beginning. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now, in total, 374 candidates filed to run for state office this year in Montana, and many more on the local level.
The Montana Highway Patrol is now making changes to the way it recruits new troopers.
In the past, the department has had a hard time keeping up with employee demand, mainly because its recruiting process held a lot of unknowns. Now, once completing the Law Enforcement Academy and the Highway Patrol Academy, new recruits were placed where needed versus where they wanted to live.
Well, with the new process, someone who lives in Billings would have the option to be stationed in Billings. MHP hopes the changes will bring a larger pool of recruits.
Up next on tonight's 5:30 News, we check in on the latest numbers of COVID-19 cases as deaths continue to rise in America.
And in sports, your Cats and Grizz playing tournament quarterfinals on the women's court. Scott will show us which one was eliminated.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.